You don't need to study more, you just need to study better. You just need to study the right things with more focus. So my name is Richard, and I graduated high school early with these grades in my A-levels. Here's what I've learned about studying effectively and why I think studying 12 hours a day, studying 8 to 12 hours a day, honestly even more than 6, is kind of stupid. Honestly, genuinely believe it's kind of stupid. Because I know these kind of students that will study 3 to 4 hours every single day. And the thing is, right, they would not do well. They would actually not do well. I know multiple students who would do that. But conversely, I would know students who would maybe study like an hour a day, or maybe doesn't even study during the term at all and studies before the exam, like me, for example. That was what I was. And they still do really well in their exams. Why is that, right? Why is that? They study more, right? So that means they should be smarter and they should be better, right? It's because these people that study less time, they do the more effective strategy. They study the effective tasks, but they also learn how to focus better, right? They know how to focus. And so if you're in a situation where you find yourself studying a lot, you're trying to study a lot, you'll actually be surprised that you actually probably don't need to spend that much time. You just need to do it better. What we need to do is we need to apply the 80-20 principle to our lives, to our studying, for example. So, for example, for any kind of given outcome, right, you want good grades, right? There are 80% of the tasks that will give you 20% of the results, but then there's 20% of the tasks that will give you 80% of the results, right? So what you should do is you should probably focus mainly on those 20% that actually provide you a really big benefit, right? And so what is the 80-20 in terms of studying, right? Is it highlighting your notes? Is it copying notes to make a pretty notebook? Is it reading through the textbook? Probably not, right? For most subjects, especially for STEM, the ones I'm most familiar with, the most effective strategy is to do the past papers, right? You probably have this library of so many past papers that you could do. All these resources from the same company, for the same educational organization, all these resources, and you don't use them, right? This is the most effective strategy, is just focus on the past papers itself, right? Just the past papers itself produce 80% of the benefit, right? That's all I did back then, right? All I did back then, before I even knew about these strategies, is just do the past papers, right? That's all I did. Because doing the past papers means you're doing the exact same kind of questions that you're going to be doing in your exam, for example. But also, it means you're actually applying your knowledge as well. You're questioning yourself. You're digging out knowledge from your brain. You're activating your memory, right? You're doing active learning. This is the most important strategy, right? Activating stuff from your memory that you can pull out from your memory, so you can strengthen those connections of the things that you've learned, right? That's the most important thing. Not just passively reading something in the journal and thinking, oh, maybe I'll memorize it, right? Like a lot of the stuff that students do, like writing down notes, it's kind of ineffective, right? Especially for a lot of subjects. For example, I remember in biology, there would be people who would write out these massive notes lists, right? But that's the thing, right? Having a massive notes list doesn't necessarily mean jack shit if you're not able to apply the knowledge, right? You're not able to apply the knowledge in a question, right? In a new scenario, new context, right? Like they do so in most exam papers. And so if you simply focus on the most effective 20%, right? Or probably for this case, probably 10%, right? 10% would probably reduce you 90% of the results, right? If you truly apply the 80-20 principle, you can cut down your study time dramatically, right? Instead of doing 6 hours of studying, you probably learn the same amount in 1 hour of studying, of just actually studying the past papers, of doing the past papers, actively engaging in them, right? You could dramatically reduce your study time. You don't need to study this long, right? But also the other reason why you spend so long studying, but you get so little results, it is because of your bad focus. Now look, everyone in this kind of generation probably has bad focus. We grew up with phones, we grew up watching YouTube, right? Look, that's understandable, right? It's just the truth that most of us have horrible attention spans, right? And the thing is, right, you look at the kind of average person studying nowadays, right? And you look at them from a third person perspective. Imagine you have a security camera and you just watch them study, right? And you see them study, But you'll see like half the time, like in those 3 hours that they were studying or 5 hours of study, right? You're gonna see them do this half the time. Oh yeah, I got a notification from Sarah. Oh, maybe she, oh wow. Oh yeah, Clash of Clans. Oh, they're trying to study over here. Oh shit. Oh, a new message from Sarah. Oh, I just might as well reply and, do something on that, right? Oh, Instagram's already open, so I'm gonna, scroll some reels for just quickly, This is how a lot of people study, and look, like, it's fucking stupid, right? It is actually stupid how much time you're gonna waste if you, are trying to study in like a distracting environment, right? And so if you're part of this generation, then your attention span is probably fried, right? But then look at your desk, look at your study environment, right? Look at it. And look at how much distraction there is, right? You probably have a laptop or an iPad or something, like a Chromebook. You probably have your phone on your desk. You probably have all this junk and shit that you haven't cleaned up, right? Your attention span is not good, right? Your focus is not good. And so, but you're actually inviting so much distraction in your environment, right? You have a phone that has notifications on. You have Discord notifications, right? You have a phone that lights up whenever you get a message, right? Like, look, it might feel nice to get a notification. It's be like, oh, maybe that girl I like replied to me or something like that, right? It might be nice. It might feel nice to have a friend reply to you, have a Discord conversation, right? Sure, whatever. But if you've got something more important to do it afterwards. Reply to the message afterwards. You've got something more important than to message your friend on Discord, right? He can wait an hour after you studied, right? After you finish studying, right? It's fine, right? I'm sure any good friend will understand. Oh yeah, I was studying. I'll reply a little bit later. It doesn't fucking matter. So just turn off your notifications, or ideally, throw your phone away. Right? Basically, put it in a different room. Give it to your mom, right? For some accountability. Also, for a laptop, flight mode, right? You probably don't need the internet, right? Let's be real. A lot of us, honestly, even including me, right? A lot of the time, if I'm just given free internet access, I will end up wasting so much more time compared to if I just put it on flight mode. Turn off your Wi-Fi for your laptop, right? Download everything that you need, all the study material, but then just turn on flight mode so you aren't so distracted by all this shit, right? Turn off your notifications, turn off the sound, do not disturb, like just turn off everything, right? Turn off that shit, because it's wasting so much time and distracting you. Like, I remember there was this study that, okay, for example, you checking your messages, right? You checking your messages on your phone. Okay, so you think it's not too much, right? Oh, I'm just replying to my friend, haha, lol, that was a funny meme or some shit like that, right? And you think that it's not much. It's just like 5 seconds, right? But in actuality, right, studies have shown that because you switch tasks and basically have to switch back onto your studying, right, that will affect your studying for at least the next 15 minutes, right? 5 seconds to check your phone, or a minute to check your phone. That will affect you for the next 15 minutes. It's true. It's genuinely true, because it's true, right? You'll notice you have to think, oh, what was I actually doing? Oh shit, what was I actually doing, right? It'll take time for you to actually refocus, right? And so why would you invite so much distraction and limit your success? Why would you waste so much time? You're going to waste so much time and brain energy, especially, right? If you have your phone next to you and you're always constantly switching tasks and distracted, it's going to waste so much time, right? It's going to waste so much time, right? But it's also going to require so much willpower, and you're going to be so tired, right? This kind of bullshit studying is not even fun. It's not even easy, right? It's actually really hard because you're always switching tasks, right? If every 15 minutes you're getting distracted by a new notification, by you checking your phone, it's going to be genuinely really hard, but you're not going to achieve much. It's going to waste so much of your brain, but you're not even going to be effective, right? You're not even going to be focused, right? So it's a lose-lose situation, right? And so the sad fact is that so many people do this kind of bullshit studying. Why do I know this? Because I used to do it. I used to study with my phone next to me. How sad was that? I used to get distracted halfway through, right? And so that's why techniques like Pomodoro method or something like that, right? I think it's kind of bullshit. I think it doesn't apply at all for the modern day, because if you give yourself a 5-minute break, what are most people going to do? What are most people going to do? They're going to go on TikTok, right? And so a 5-minute break, right, becomes half an hour break of you scrolling on your phone. But in order to effectively study, you have to set up your environment. You have to set up a distraction-free environment where you don't have other people trying to bother you, where you don't have notifications blaring. An environment which is easy for you to start studying, right? Where you have everything set up. For example, you set up everything beforehand, right? You set up your books, open up your book, you set the intention to do the task. I'm going to study this chapter, and I'm going to study this topic of these questions and for my biology exam, for example, right? So set up some intentions to actually do it, like write out what you're going to do, but then actually set up your environment so that it is easy for you to do it, right? That's how you can create this environment that's conducive to studying. I have like some videos and guides on how to make it really effective and easy to study. So, you can go check those ones out. But also, what can we do to actually help mend our attention span, right? To actually help fix it back up to what it should be at a healthy level, right? What can we do? Well, first off, what we have to do is we have to understand that we are overstimulating ourselves constantly, right? For example, you're spending so much time, watching TikTok, for example. You're watching so many Netflix shows, and, you spend all your free time playing video games, right? All the time, you're spending your time overstimulating. And so once you get to a less stimulating activity, for example, you want to start studying for your physics test, that is way less stimulating, and it's kind of difficult compared to you scrolling your phone and you watching some Netflix shows. It's kind of hard, right? And so this kind of contrast, and compared to what you've always been doing, you've been so stimulated up here because you've been watching your phone all day. You're so stimulated up here, and then you have to go down here. You feel that contrast, right? You feel that contrast, and it feels boring. And so you're naturally drawn to your phone, right? And so you struggle a lot with this emotion of boredom. You struggle being able to handle it, right? You struggle a lot with boredom because your automatic response to boredom usually is to just pick up your phone, right? Whenever you're waiting in line, well, what do? You have to wait like a minute for your order, for example. Well, you pick up your phone, right? You're waiting at a restaurant. Oh, you pick up your phone, right? You go and scroll on your phone. And so once you don't have that, once you're actually trying to study, it feels really hard. It kind of sucks, right? So what we have to do is we have to start embracing boredom. Have to incorporate more boredom within our life, right? So for example, getting off your phone and replacing it with a less stimulating activity, for example. Replacing your YouTube shorts, replacing your TikTok, deleting TikTok, and maybe watching like a documentary. Something like that, right? Like replacing it with a less stimulating alternative, and then just in general, making your life less stimulating. So you feel less of that extreme contrast, right? Because that extreme contrast, it's the reason why a lot of us are like, feel like it's so hard to actually do the work, right? You've been scrolling from Instagram Reels for like an hour here, and so now you're down here, and then you're trying to study. Wow, that feels horrible, right? That doesn't feel good, right? Even I know it doesn't feel good. These stimulating activities are instant gratification. They basically are stimulating and fun right now, but they kind of are bad in the long term, right? For example, junk food, right? The classic example is junk food. You eat the ice cream, and it tastes good, it tastes pretty good, it's nice and sugary and stuff. But then you swallow it, and then afterwards, right, you don't get the pleasure anymore, but then you get the negative effects. You get the worse health, you get the more fat, you get the feeling a bit worse because it goes down in your stomach and that, right? So a lot of these instant gratification activities, like video games, like scrolling your phone, like, binging out on shows or watching TV shows, these stimulating activities should be replaced with more delayed gratification. So delayed gratification is something that feels kind of hard right now. For example, you studying is kind of boring, or you exercising might be painful. that feels kind of hard right now, but it will produce positive long-term benefits. Improved grades, right? You feel more fulfilled because you achieve some goals, right? You have a better body, for example. You are more fit and active and feel healthier, right? We have to shift some of our time onto these delayed gratification activities. So start incorporating and replacing more of them with these delayed gratification activities, right? Replacing some video games with exercise, or replacing it with hanging out with your friends in real life, or going on walks, or going outside, play some sports, for example. Something like that will mean that you'll be less stimulated overall. And so your attention span will be better, genuinely will be better, right? Also, another habit that's really good for this is mindfulness, right? Mindfulness is your awareness of yourself and your own body and your own emotions, right? And so if you become more aware of these feelings of whenever you are, notice yourself whenever you're getting distracted, right? You're studying, and then you get a bit bored, right? And so your hand just reaches out to grab the phone, right? But that's an automatic response. With more mindfulness, you'll notice yourself grabbing your phone and you're like, wait, why am I grabbing my phone? I should be studying, right? So improving your mindfulness will mean that you'll become more aware of yourself and you'll actually be able to focus your attention better. You'll become able to focus, right? Mindfulness meditation is the practice that I've done in order to improve my mindfulness as well. So that's helped me focus so much. It's helped me improve my attention span, be able to focus better, right? Because the process of meditation for me is sitting there, focusing on my breath. Breathe in, breathe out, right? But then, I'm going to get distracted, right? I'm naturally going to start to think about other things. But once I notice I'm being distracted, I just refocus back onto the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. And every time I refocus back onto the breath, my brain becomes stronger and better at focusing. And so practicing that for like 5, 10, 20 minutes a day is so very valuable for me, right? I do it every single day. I have more videos which elaborate more on meditation, but that's another tool that's genuinely really, really valuable for me, right? I think meditation improves everything, right? Genuinely does. So soon enough with these study techniques, you're going to be able to achieve in what used to take you 6 hours, you're going to be able to achieve that in simply 1 hour. Because you've been doing the right things, you've been studying the right things, studying the past papers, but also you're focused, right? You've increased your focus, you have maybe been meditating, embracing boredom, but also have a good distraction-free environment. Having this will mean that you can save so much time, right? You could have time to actually have good sleep, right? Not having to sacrifice your sleep. Start to do some exercise and build up your body, for example. Hang out with your friends. Do all these things that are actually the good parts of life, right? That are actually some of the good parts of life. Have some time for those as well, right? Have some time to do some healthy habits and, spend time with your family, right? Like all these kinds of things, right? You don't need to study for 6 hours a day, 12 hours a day. I genuinely think it's so pointless, right? Just with these little techniques, I'm sure you're going to achieve so much more in less time. So if you're an A-level or IGCSE student like I used to be, I remember how tough and how stressful it could be and how overwhelming it could be. And so that's why I created the thing in the top link in the description below. Just have a look at that if you're interested. And I can help you with your study techniques and all this kind of stuff. Have a look at that top link in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.